All right, back in the basement again today to talk about something that's not sexy, it's not glamorous, but it is an unsung hero of my gym. You won't find it on anyone's top gym essentials videos that they do. You probably don't have this on your short list, and it might not even be on your radar. But for me, it is an essential, and that is a dehumidifier. So here, where I am in the Northeast by the ocean, we see everything in New England, right? High temperatures, low temperatures. We also see a ton of humidity. And despite the fact that this gym is temperature controlled in terms of heating and cooling, and it's always around 70 degrees here in the basement, regardless if it's freezing and snowing outside or a hot summer's day, it's always around 70 degrees. What changes down here, however, though, is the humidity factor, and it can get up to 70 to 80% here in the basement, again, based off of the area, the time of year, and the fact that I'm surrounded by concrete walls that can also give off some moisture. So without a dehumidifier, I'm in the 70 to 80%. And if you know anything about that, typically anything over 50% humidity is when you start to experience oxidation on steel. So all those barbells, your uprights, your dumbbells, anything metal, which is hopefully most of your home gym, all that stuff can rust over time when exposed to those high humidity levels. So I run one of these bad boys. I have it plugged in at all times. This is an Energy Star compliant model, so it's not pulling a ton of electricity, but it drops the humidity to around 30%, so well under 50. And that's one of the reasons a lot of my stuff always looks so good. And really, I don't have to maintain it. People ask, how often do you clean your barbells and things like that? For the most part, it's just general upkeep if things are getting gunked up from chalk or dead skin, but never because I'm experiencing rust or oxidation, which is really nice. And is actually a departure from my last home gym in the basement, where even though, again, it was somewhat temperature controlled, it was sealed off from the elements, I still experienced rust on bare steel and some of my zinc pieces of equipment. And even things like stainless steel, when exposed to higher levels of humidity over time, can still end up rusting. So again, like I said, this thing has really been a lifesaver for me in preserving a lot of my home gym stuff, which has been great for me in use because I don't have to spend time cleaning it. Things look well. And also on the resale market, because again, when I sell stuff, people are like, wow, this thing looks brand new. Why is that? Part of the reason is again, there's no rust or oxidation on that bar, where typically in used stuff, you see a lot of it, especially on the second-hand market. Now, actually owning a dehumidifier is going to come down to a lot of things. Number one is your own area. So if you live in a very dry climate, you probably don't need this. You should know, hopefully, the humidity of the area you're in. If you're not 100% sure, one of the things I like to do is actually keep this little temperature sensor, which gives me a couple of things of information. It gives me the humidity level, which is important. Right now it's 35%. It also gives me the low and the high as of recent, just based off of the last 24 hours or so. And this thing is gonna fluctuate a little bit because even as I'm talking, this is rising. So even in the short time I've turned on the camera, the humidity level is going up because this thing has been turned off. But generally speaking, if I don't run this, like I said, it's around 60 to 70%, so over that 50% threshold. Running this drops it more down to 30%, which is great. And again, I get all this information on this cheap little thing I got off Amazon. It also gives me the temperature standpoint down here, which again, for me, over the last 5 years, doesn't change much. The high and the low is basically right in line with each other. But being able to see that is a great thing, especially if you're not really 100% sure if you need a dehumidifier. You could just invest in one of those little sensors that gives you a lot of information that's helpful regardless. And if you see you do have high humidity, then you can take the time to invest in an actual dehumidifier. Now again, with this, not only is it going to depend on where you are located, but also where your gym is located and the size of it. So if you have a very big gym, you might need a bigger dehumidifier. Very small space, you might need a smaller one. I'll throw up a quick kind of chart that tells you basically what sizing you would need based off of your space, kind of to use as a guide. This is just one that I pulled offline. But the way that most dehumidifiers are rated are based off of the pints of water that they pull within a 24-hour period. So this one is rated at 70 pints, which is on the larger size for this space. So the space that it's in is around 1,000 square feet. My gym probably takes about 700 of that. Yes, we do have to store some other stuff besides barbells in this gym. It's probably a little bit oversized, but I just got a really good deal on this at Costco with some rebates. And then also my energy provider here in Rhode Island gave me a kickback as well because this is Energy Star compliant. So I got some money off. So it just made sense to get the bigger unit because why go smaller when you can go bigger for cheaper, right? Right. So with that, again, it's going to depend on the size of where your actual gym is and your location. Now, if you're in a garage, that's going to change some things as well, because while you might be dealing with high humidity, you might also be dealing with other things like the garage door being open or it not being sealed or insulated, where you're going to have some leakage anyway. So you might want to go with a smaller unit in that regard. If you do decide to go with a dehumidifier, just know that when you open the garage and things of that nature, you're going to be introducing oxidation. But again, if you can fight it a little bit, I still think it makes sense to potentially get one. Now again, because this thing is pulling water out of the air, that's also going to depend on what you're going to do with that water. Every dehumidifier comes with a tank that's removable. So again, the reason why you want to size appropriately is because if you're pulling a tank of water, you want to make sure that the tank is big enough to pull all the water out of that space. If you undersize it, the tank will be filled up before the humidity level drops, and you'll still experience that oxidation. So going a little bit bigger, again, is a little better in my opinion if you're just going to be pulling the tank from here, but that's within 24 hours, so you can still get some variance in the sizing that you use. Now for me, one of the clutch things is having one that actually drains out. Some just have a drain that's based off of gravity, which is okay depending on where you're setting it up. I'll let you guys get into that a lot, but mine actually has a pump integrated into it, which typically costs more money when you're looking at dehumidifiers. But for me, this is great because my HVAC system is here in the basement as well. And I can just basically run the tube from this right to my HVAC, and it basically pumps the water into that, which disposes of it no problem. And I never really have to either empty the tank, unless something happens like one of the filters is dirty or I'm unplugging and replugging this all the time and it just kind of gets reset, or if it's super humid down here and I just need to pump more than this tank can handle at the time, which is rarely ever the case. But having an integrated pump for me is super helpful. But if you're in the place where you don't have anywhere to put that water, then obviously you don't need the pump, you don't need the drain tube, and you can save some money by just getting one that you can release and empty the tank yourself. Now, this one has been in the basement for 5 years. There's some other models out there that I've seen that now have app integration, so you can get all the info in an app, which would be great. I think especially if that app is going to tell you when the tank is full and you only are doing the tank release model, that way you could just get a notification to say, oh, my tank's full. I can just go down to the basement or the garage, empty it, throw it out back, whatever the case may be, and pop that tank back in. I don't have this in this model, but again, I've had it for 5 years and it's running flawlessly, so no real reason to upgrade, and it also matches my color scheme down here. So I don't have any specific recommendations. Again, mine is just a Hisense model I got from Costco. It's a 70 pint unit. Probably a little overkill for what I have here in the basement, so I'm not necessarily recommending this one specifically. Do your own research in that regard. Maybe we can get some sponsorships where I test dehumidifiers. I don't know, but I thought I'd do this video because, again, it's something that, in my opinion, is essential to your gym and maintaining the integrity of your equipment that most people don't think about. Let me know in the comment section below if you run a dehumidifier, if you thought about one, and any other thoughts you have on the subject. In the meantime, as always, thanks for watching and stay big.